Before the camera lowers and the moment refuses to end, make sure you're still here. Subscribe to Emo Saga for sensual romances where 1 second lasts far longer than it should and changes everything. The photographer keeps talking. That's the first problem. Just one more, he says cheerfully. Everyone squeeze in. I should step away. That's the second problem. I don't. We're already close. Too close for strangers, not close enough to justify, but the crowd presses forward and suddenly there's nowhere else to go. I feel his arm behind me, warm and solid. Not touching yet, but close enough that the space between us feels intentional. Sorry, I murmur automatically. You're fine, he replies. His voice is calm, low, unbothered. The photographer lifts the camera. All right, lean in. I do. Without thinking. My shoulder brushes his chest. The contact is light, brief, the kind that should pass unnoticed. Doesn't. I feel it immediately, the stillness. The way he doesn't shift back. Doesn't correct the closeness. Instead, his hand comes to rest at my waist. Not gripping. Not pulling. Just there. Supportive. Steady. Too deliberate to be accidental. My breath catches. This is where it should end. This is where one of us should move. Neither of us does. The shutter clicks. Once. Twice. The photographer laughs. Perfect. Hold that. Hold that. We do. I'm suddenly acutely aware of everything. The heat of his palm through the thin fabric of my dress. The way my hip fits against his. The subtle rise and fall of his breathing at my back. I should straighten. I don't. Instead, I lean just a fraction more into him. A test. His fingers tighten slightly at my waist. Not possessive. Responsive. That's when I realize he's aware too. Fully. Smile, the photographer calls. I do. It feels strange to smile when my pulse is racing like this. The shutter clicks again. Then finally. All right, got it. People begin to shift. Chatter resuming as the moment dissolves for everyone else. But not for us. His hand is still there. Mine hasn't moved away. I straighten slowly, giving him space. He doesn't rush to remove his hand. Instead, his fingers linger for a beat longer than necessary before slipping away. The absence feels louder than the touch itself. I trail off. He turns to face me, expression unreadable but focused. Longer than expected, he finishes. Yes. Our eyes lock. There's a question there. And an answer neither of us has spoken yet. I'm Ethan, he says finally. I tell him my name. He repeats it once quietly like he's testing the sound. We rejoin the group, but something has shifted. Every time I move, I'm aware of where he is. When someone laughs too loudly, I notice the way his attention flicks back to me automatically. I try to ignore it. I fail. Later, near the bar, he appears beside me without announcement. Can I get you another? He asks, nodding toward my glass. Yes, I answer, then pause. Thank you. He returns with my drink. Exactly how I like it. I don't ask how he knew. That photo, I say lightly, was supposed to be quick. Most things are, he replies. Until they aren't. I glance at him. You sound like you've experienced that. A faint smile touches his mouth. More than once. We stand close again. Not touching, but aware. The party hums around us, but it feels like we're in a quieter pocket of space. You didn't pull away, I say. He meets my gaze. Neither did you. Silence stretches, not awkward but heavy with possibility. I don't usually do that, I admit. Lean into strangers, he asks. Yes. I don't usually stay, he replies. The implication settles slowly. Someone bumps my elbow from behind. Instinctively, I step closer to Ethan to regain balance. This time he doesn't hesitate. His hand returns to my waist, firmer now, grounding me. Got you, he murmurs. The words send a quiet shiver through me. I look up at him. We're close enough now that I can see the fine lines at the corner of his eyes, the steadiness in his gaze. This is starting to feel intentional, I say softly. It is, he replies just as quietly. I don't move away. Neither does he. The touch has crossed from accidental into chosen, and neither of us is pretending otherwise. I should probably say something, I say. Then say it, he replies. I don't want to feel rushed. You're not, he says immediately. We're exactly where we are. That matters more than I expect. The music shifts to something slower. Lights dim slightly. I become aware of how close our bodies are. Aligned without effort, familiar without reason. You don't look uncomfortable, he observes. I'm not, I admit. And this? He asks, his thumb brushing lightly where his hand rests at my waist. Still okay? Yes. The answer comes easily. The photographer passes by again, camera slung over his shoulder. Hey, you two looked great together, he says casually. Real chemistry. I laugh embarrassed. Ethan doesn't. He simply says, thank you. Like it's a fact. When the crowd thins, we drift toward a quieter corner. Not planned. Just mutual. This started with a photo, I say. Yes. And now? He considers me. Now it's a conversation, he says. One we don't have to finish tonight. I appreciate that. I should go soon, I say, though I don't step back. Yes, he agrees. But not yet. The restraint in his voice is intoxicating. I glance toward the exit, then back at him. This touch, I say, indicating his hand, was supposed to end. It did, he replies. When? When it stopped being accidental, he says. Now it's something else. My pulse quickens. And what is it now? He leans in slightly, not to kiss, not to claim. Just close enough that his words feel private. An invitation, he says. I take a slow breath. Then I lean in again. This time deliberately. Then don't step away, I say. He doesn't. And in that moment I know. This was never about the photo. It was about what happened when neither of us pretended the touch meant nothing. The touch doesn't end. That's the first thing I register as the seconds pass. Not because he's holding me tightly. He isn't. His hand stays at my waist, steady, respectful, like he's waiting for me to decide what it means now that we've acknowledged it. The music inside shifts again, something slower, lower. The crowd thins in subtle waves, people leaving in pairs or small groups, coats appearing, voices dropping. We remain unmoved. You're not pulling away, he says quietly. No, I answer. And you could. Yes. The honesty steadies me more than reassurance ever could. We don't kiss. Not yet. Instead, we stay close, talking in low tones that feel private even in a public space. Do you take photos often? I ask. Only when I'm forced into them, he replies. I prefer moments that aren't staged. That's ironic, I smile. Is it? He tilts his head slightly. This started staged. It didn't stay that way. He's right. At some point, his hand leaves my waist. Not abruptly, not apologetically. Just enough to reset the moment. I feel the absence immediately. Not disappointment. Awareness. Walk with me, he says. Just outside. I nod. The night air is cooler beyond the venue doors, quieter. Stripped of music and expectation. Streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement. Cars pass occasionally, distant and indifferent. We stop near the building's sidewall. Close but not touching now. This is usually where people rush things, I say. Yes, he agrees. Or where they end them. And you. I prefer to be precise. I laugh softly. You keep saying that. Because it matters. He looks at me again, really looks this time, not just aware but present. You leaned into me, he says. Twice. I did. And you didn't do it because you were unsteady. No. You did it because you wanted to feel what would happen. The accuracy makes my breath hitch. Yes, I admit. He steps closer again, closing the space carefully. Then let me be clear too, he says. I don't take moments like that lightly. I don't want them to be light, I reply. That's good, he murmurs. Neither do I. This time when he touches me it's different. His hand returns to my waist, thumb brushing a slow, deliberate arc against the fabric of my dress. Not exploring. Not claiming. Acknowledging. I lean in without hesitation. Our bodies align naturally, like they've been negotiating this distance all night. You're very aware of yourself, he says softly. I am. And of me. Yes. That's when he kisses me. It's unhurried. Warm. Intentional. Nothing rushed. Nothing taken. The kind of kiss that feels like agreement rather than impulse. My hands come up to rest against his chest, fingers curling slightly as if to anchor myself to the moment. When we part, it's because we need air, not because the moment is finished. That, I say quietly, wasn't accidental. No, he agrees. It was chosen. I smile. That makes it better. It makes it real. We walk slowly after that, not toward anything specific, just alongside each other. Conversation flows easily now, the tension softened into something steadier. You don't disappear into crowds, he says at one point. I don't like feeling invisible. And yet you didn't need to be seen loudly, he adds. Just accurately. The word lands deeper than I expect. When we reach my car, we stop again. This feels like another decision point. I had a good night, I say. So did I. And I don't want this to be a one-time moment. Neither do I. No promises. No pressure. Just alignment. He doesn't kiss me again immediately. Instead, he brushes his thumb lightly against my wrist, where my pulse is still racing. You don't rush, I say. No, he replies. I prefer things that continue. We exchange numbers. Simple. Unceremonious. But the way his gaze holds mine while he types my name into his phone makes it feel intimate anyway. Tomorrow, he asks. Coffee, I suggest. He nods. Daylight. Different context. Same intention. The next morning, I look at the photo when it finally appears in the group chat. Everyone is smiling, but I notice the details no one else will. The way his hand rests at my waist, too natural to be staged. The way my body angles into his without effort. The way the moment looks honest. Coffee the next day feels easy. No nerves. No cuernis. Just recognition. You look exactly the same, he says. You don't, I reply. You look less guarded. He smiles. That happens when things don't end prematurely. We don't talk about the future in grand terms. We talk about schedules, about books, about small preferences that feel surprisingly important. He reaches for my hand across the table at one point, not dramatically, not to prove anything, just because it's there. I let him. Weeks pass. The connection doesn't fade. It doesn't rush forward either. It builds in layers: touch, conversation, shared awareness. And sometimes, when we're out with others and someone suggests a photo, I feel his presence shift beside me. Close. Intentional. Still. One evening, as a camera lifts again somewhere across a room, he leans in and murmurs near my ear, "You know, you don't have to lean into me this time." I smile. "I know," I reply. Then I do anyway. Because this time the touch doesn't linger by accident. It lingers because we choose not to let it end. Some moments are meant to pass. Others are meant to stay. Ours began with a photo, but it lasted because neither of us pretended the touch meant nothing. And sometimes that's all it takes. 1 second too long. One choice not to step away. One connection that refuses to fade when the camera lowers.